It starts back in 2010 that I gave a talk called A Radical Experiment in Empathy. And the talk was, in that talk, I put Americans in the shoes of average, ordinary Muslims living in Iraq. And I walked people through how it would be to live through the wars, the invasion, the sanctions, everything that had happened in Iraq since really before 2003, since 91, 92, but particularly since 2003. Most people everywhere in the world are just ordinary, average human beings getting on in their lives. And ultimately, as I walked them through, I did this really radical empathy twist. And I asked them to imagine themselves in the shoes of Iraqis who experienced the negative consequences of the invasion by the Americans, because essentially we were there for resources and we were there for oil, and if there hadn't been oil, we wouldn't be there, and that's a given, and that's just part of the reality as we know it. And so imagine yourself as these guys, and these are two insurgents that the Americans caught. And imagine how, if you're Americans, you really would hate these guys, but think about who they are and why they are fighting. And they're part of a resistance, and they're part of a resistance against occupation. They would see themselves that way. And I wasn't saying that they are that, or that's true, or they're right, or anybody's right. But what I did was offer people the opportunity to put themselves in the shoes of people like this, to say, could you imagine yourself going through this, and then imagine yourself going to war against the Americans. And at the end of the talk, of course, as I kind of put it out there in a different kind of way, it's a very provocative thing. A few months later, I got an email from a gentleman in Iraq, and I had not vetted my talk with any Iraqis. But I spent a lot of time reading and understanding many things about the region and so on. But he contacted me. And he said, listen, I am that average, ordinary Muslim living in Iraq. I'm the very person you were talking about. Just getting on with my life. I have my family, have my job. I want the best for my family. Want the best for people around me. I studied in the United States. I did my master's degree and my undergrad and my master's degree at University in Michigan, in Western Michigan. So I get a sense of the Americans. And yet I understand how it is that Iraqis could be so angry and could take the side of the insurgency. And so do my friends. We get it. Your talk really landed home because it made a lot of sense to us. And so I said, hey, why don't you Skype into my classes? He lived up in the north, in Mosul, and he lived up in this region, and he said, I said, let's just talk. What's it like? How is it? What do you see around you? What are Iraqis thinking? What are Iraqis thinking about Americans? And many very positive things. Of course, he has many positive things to say about Americans, and they were really happy to get rid of Saddam Hussein, and because he knew Americans, so he gets it, right? He understands who we are and what we are. And then over time, we developed a friendship. We'd send photos back and forth, and greetings, and holiday greetings, and Christmas greetings. Even though he's not a Christian, he would always every year send me, Christmas greetings. And this is Bassem with his wife Mayada, and this is when they were living in Michigan. And look there's cake. I don't know. I guess who knows, pizza, tissue. There they are at graduation, 1988. Look at just beautiful, right? Like cool. And here he is. This is Bassem with friends in Michigan. And so really, he's just the lovable, just a person. Just really enjoys people. So he had a lot of friends. And then he went back home. And he and Mayada had 2 children. And Yaya and Tuka. And this is their home. And next door to their home, he's an engineer. Next door to their home was his brother's home. And beautiful homes, side by side, living together, really lovely life. And here's the inside. This is Mohamed. This is his brother here. This is the inside of Bassam's home. Beautiful home. Just an average day, like a kind of, this is what would be called like his diwania, right? Like a living space where you gather together and have coffee and snacks and sweets and so on. That's his nephew there. And this is Mohamed. Beautiful, right? And here's downtown Mosul. And you can see, like Americans have this sense that, oh, Iraq, it's just this place. They're always at war. They've always been at war. And no, they haven't. They actually haven't always been at war. It's really quite an amazing culture, amazing place. Look at that. Just get a sense of it, right? Really nice. Here's the University of Mosul. That's the gate. So this would be like the equivalent of the Allen Street gates. Here's another scene. So just city, right? You get it. We have this friendship going on for a number of years. And then I had been traveling. I think we were in Qatar, actually, my wife, Lori, and I. And we flew back to Qatar, and then we went to a wedding. We were in St. Louis. A former TA of ours was getting married. And we were sitting in a hotel room. We had jet lag, and we were sitting in the hotel room. We'll never forget. It was in the afternoon, but the windows were closed because we were just trying to get back onto U.S. time. And I just popped open Facebook. And I saw this message from Bassam. And Bassam was pretty active on Facebook. And this was the message. And I didn't know what it said, but I knew it said something that was not good. Because I could see the emojis, and many of the emojis were sad faces and so on. And then I put it into a Google Translator, and here's what it said. It said, in the middle of the night, coalition airplanes targeted 2 houses occupied by innocent civilians. This barbarian attack cost me the lives of my wife, daughter, brother, and nephew. May they rest in peace, and may Allah Almighty accept them as martyrs. Meaning innocent people that have been killed. And so then I said, wait, hang on, that's not possible. Because this is Bassam. This is my friend. Like, this is not going to happen to me. I mean, what are the chances that my friend would have his house bombed by Americans? So I put it into another translator. And it said the same thing. So I jumped on, I sent him a message immediately. And I said, Bassam, hang on, what is this saying? And so we started talking back and forth, as we often did. And then he started sending me pictures. He said, yes, it's true. And here's my house. And yes, they were American bombs, it turns out. And here's my brother's house. 2 bombs, precision strikes. And then he sent this. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, you know, it's not the kind of thing that you imagine is really true. Just you're imagining it's true, in whether it's Thousand Oaks, California, or it's in Squirrel Hill, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh. Just think that's not possible. And here's a photo the night before. I talked him into coming back into class and talking. I said, it'll be good for you, and we need to hear your story. And so he did. And then last fall, he Skyped in. And here's a shot of Bassam on the screen. And the students last fall were so moved by what he had to say that we took a collection and to pay for his airfare and his visa to come to Penn State and visit us in person, which is what happened last spring. In the spring, in April. So Bassam was here. And so today, we're going to talk to my friend, our friend, a friend of Penn State, a friend of Social 19. We are going to have an opportunity once again to talk to Bassam.